Welcome to the DesignaKnit 9 video learning series. In this tutorial, we'll be working in the DesignaKnit Graphics Studio section of the program, and we will be talking about how to convert a chart that you might find in a magazine rapidly into knit stitches. Let's go there now. We can convert just about anything that's a graphic file. Line drawings, photographs, pictures, scanned in charts, and any other supported graphic file format. We're going to say here, open the graphic file. And in DesignaKnit 8, it brought up thumbnails within DesignaKnit. And in DesignaKnit 9 now, it has switched to using the Windows regular folder, which is much faster and easier to find things. I can use this drop-down menu to move around wherever I want. I'm going to say Libraries and then Documents. When you install DesignaKnit 9, it puts a folder in your Documents folder called DesignaKnit 9, and it installs shapes and stitch pattern folders for you. I have added in 2 graphic file folders, and we could easily add in a third. And it's now leaving a space, and this is no different than you would do for any thing that you would do in Windows. Let's call this 3 and then enter to make the new directory. And I could click on this, it's highlighted blue. I could click on it once and it turns darker blue, and I can change this to whatever I want and then hit enter to finish making that change. So the graphic files that I want are in this folder here, and we have this option to look at it as a list. If you don't see the pictures right away, just switch to one of the different size icons. This one is too small to see. This one is medium. Large is easy to find things, and extra large is kind of really big. So the one that I want is way down here on the bottom, and it's called Snowflake. Open. So now I have the file. The next thing that I need to do is to tell it what type of image this is, and we do this by saying image type. Most of the images are always going to be pictures, including black and white images, but for things like charts and line drawings, the diagram is nice because it sets it for looking at black and white and gray and white images that you might want to convert from a chart. So we're going to pick that. If I chose picture instead, notice how the background has changed to remind you which type you're in. So this is kind of handy. So we want diagram. We're going to say OK. Now, if you don't know what these buttons are right away, you can always use the drop-down menus, but you could say View and you could say Hints, and that turns on the hints on and off so that when you hover over something, it puts up a little yellow text to tell you what that particular button does. And that's really nice when you're learning the program. And if it kind of gets in the way, you can always go up under View and turn that back off. But let's leave it on for now. So this is preview the conversion. And this is what it would look like, and it's kind of a mess. And so let's turn this off because we need to do a couple of things. The first thing we want to do is go here to the grid settings, and we want to tell it it's 24 stitches and 24 rows. That's correct. I can pick what color grid I want. Right now it's red. If I click here, the grid corners move independently, and you would use that if something is not kind of straight. and I'm going to say OK. And again, it would come up and it would convert looking like this. And let's turn that back off. And the reason that it's not coming up correctly is because right now the grid goes all the way out to the edges, but the pattern itself is only in here. So what we need to do is we need to move these corners, and they're all solid and the active corner is open. So we're going to move that down here. I'm going to move this corner in, and I can use my tab key to switch active corners, and I can use my arrow keys if I want for fine tuning, and I can fuss with this if I want, and it's actually pretty close. So let's say now what the grid conversion would look like, and that's actually exactly what we want. How fast is that? So let's say okay, we're happy. I'm going to save these settings, and what it does is it saves this positioning information and the type and all of that with this graphic file so that when you open it up again, it will remember that the grid belongs here and not here. So let's save that. Now it's converted it into a stitch pattern, and it's asking you before you go into Stitch Designer completely what kind of technique are you going to be using, and this one is actually going to be Fair Isle. The color changer is off, and the knitting machine that I'm going to be using is the KH970. Okay, and there we go. Now it's a little bit misshapen, and I'm going to go in Options and Tensions. And I know that for this particular yarn that I use, it's roughly uh, 7.5 and 10 rows to the inch. And I can say View Repeats. Let's say maybe 3 repeats each. And there you go. We already have a pattern that's ready to send to your knitting machine and start knitting. We just need to say File and save this as a file name and transfer it to your knitting machine or print out instructions for knitting this by hand. So easy, easy, easy. This took us minutes to do this. Thank you.